Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Not Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, it is our first Thursday NBA show of the year. Very exciting. No more NFL podcast, still NFL content coming out, but moving the focus over to daily NBA now that the playoff field has been slimmed down a little bit. Jared, how are you doing? How are you feeling about tonight's slate?
Yeah, excited to make some more content now that the NFL schedule is starting to ease up on us a little bit. And unfortunately, we have to start the show the same way we've started the last couple this week, which is that the NBA has been pretty disappointing from a multitude of angles this week specifically. We are blessed to have a good game in Berlin right now. Both teams have been battling double-digit leads and have come back, and now we got a game. So that one is looking really good, but yeah, just some unfortunate rotation stuff. We're at the point of the year where, like Yusuf Nurkic, in a great game environment, just gets a DMP coach's decision after no
Crazy
injury
stuff.
tag. Just crazy stuff everywhere. Rotations are changing. Lots of injury news on the slate today, even though we only have roughly 8 games to go. Yeah, it's all over the place. And again, these shows help break down situations, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of the slump here.
Yeah, and even guys that were even teams that did well last night, like it ended up being a secondary contributor, right? You look at the Bulls, it ended up being Vooch, who was the guy over almost everyone else. You look at the Jazz, it ended up being Bryce Sensabaugh off the bench, and
Yep.
it was a lot of variance as it has been all week, and hoping to bounce back from that and get some good stuff today. All right, Jared, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into this slate. Let's start talking about injuries.
Let's do it. I think the biggest one that I just want to get out there right now that's probably not super public if you just missed the last 15 minutes was that we do know that Jalen Brunson is going to be out. We kind of expected that. He left the stadium without crutches or a walking boot, but he still was considered doubtful for this game. So that'll be interesting to see what they do there. As far as other Knicks injuries go, there's other peripheral stuff. Landry Shamet, Mitchell Robinson, both not playing in this game, which should open a few things up. No, like injury stuff aside, we found out that Jonathan Kuminga is going to ask for a trade from the Warriors, and that relationship can't be recovered. So that's going to happen really soon now as well. Other notable injuries for the slate today. I think the biggest one is probably just going to be like this cluster of Dallas stuff. They are signing guys to hardship right now, and we know that Anthony Davis, as well as Derek Lively, are done for the foreseeable future. Right now, we have Washington and Gafford as questionable tags, where we know that Cooper Flag and Max Christie are doubtful. So lots going on with Dallas. We also saw them start. Who did they start last night? They started Jaden Hardy over Brandon Williams, which was interesting development there. Klay Thompson continues to be off the bench, but I'm not sure if they can afford to do that today. Other injuries like that. So that Dallas Utah game, we'll talk a lot about it. It's got a lot of injury news and a lot of fantasy environment stuff that's really good. Yeah. Other than that, Lou Dort was questionable. He missed a couple of games ago. Kyle Kuzma got downgraded today from Milwaukee. Didn't he have Diaz out? So that's kind of like another big headline. I think that from there we can kind of just mention things here and there. But yeah, the biggest injury game is definitely Dallas and Utah.
Yeah, for sure. That Cooper Flag stuff is definitely something we have to pay attention to. Obviously, Laurie on the other side as well. Should mention heat injuries. Davion Mitchell and Jaime Jaquez are both going to be out for this game, so like that feels like a pretty big deal. And D-Book's out, too. We know that Dylan Brooks is going to end up playing, but Devin Booker is out for this one. So definitely a lot of injury news that we have to keep track of today. Jared, if you're ready, I'm ready. We can head over to top implied team totals.
Yep, let's do it.
Even with all the injuries, the Mavs end up grabbing the top spot here with a 120.75 implied team total here. Oh, excuse me, my phone decided to play a video. 120.75 implied team total for the Mavs. 3.5 point favorites. Over-unders at 236.5 for this one. We already talked about the injuries, which means usage is going to be a little bit hard to nail down. I guess first I'll bring to the table think the Klay Thompson spot obviously looks really good from the above the break stuff. I
Yep.
don't know if he comes off the bench today or not. That'll be super interesting. Najee Marshall has had back to back games with 20 plus points, so maybe they rely on him as a shot taker today. I don't know. Give me your thoughts.
The hardest thing, or let's just start out by saying like it's hard to even project what their starting line is going to be today, Josh, because
Yeah.
we got a lot of moving parts here. We won't know for a while if if Washington is playing or not. Uh, we could get Dwight Powell at starting center. If Daniel Gafford can't go. They just signed Jeremiah Robinson Earl to hardship, so he would be available to play as a backup center. Yeah, things are kind of all over the place. We also don't have a good sample size of flag missing games either, and that just throws another wrench into all of that. You would think that Klay Thompson would start. I replaced Max Christie and replaced him with Klay in that starting lineup, but we just saw the point guards flip spots yesterday, and we'll see if Hardy gets to go here or if it's Brandon Williams. Again, things are all over the place. I couldn't even list trends or usage or data usage for anything in the rundown because things are just you just throw your hand at the wall or see what sticks. So yeah, Thompson definitely is considered the best overall 3-point scorer in terms of matchup on the slate. Has fallen not short necessarily, but just kind of a mixed bag of results over the past at least 2 to 3 weeks. But who else is taking above the break threes on this side right now? And that's kind of where this goes because everybody's now out for that situation. So Jaden Hardy might be a guy that takes a couple more above the break threes. We'll see. But yeah, it does feel like Klay Thompson. You can arguably say definitely a top 3-point play on the slate in general. Might just be the overall best one, depending on if he's going to play 28 plus minutes. I do like the Najee Marshall stuff. He profiles really well in this paint scoring situation for Utah because they're just chronically just bleeding points in the paint. So I do think that one is probably my if you were to compare and say who's your top scorer, I would say Najee Marshall. If who's your top 3-point play, it certainly would be Klay on this side.
Yeah, it's definitely. I kind of just want to see this Klay Thompson stuff, or see it to believe it, I guess, because Cooper Flag
Yeah.
left during the first half yesterday. When the second half came around, the starting lineup for this Dallas team was PJ, Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy, Najee Marshall, and Ryan Nemhard was the guy who ended up getting into the starting lineup instead of Cooper. I think that's kind of what they need. I think that the concern with with putting Klay Thompson in the lineup over Ryan Nemhard would be like, who is going to be your playmaker? Who's going to be your assist guy? Who's going to be your guy running the offense? We know that Klay can't do that. I don't think that Hardy's really the guy to do that. He's always been more of a shooting guard in my eyes. And Najee can't do that. He's not that level of playmaker. So, like, I feel like you need a Nemhard out there to end up getting that job done. We'll say while in the second half, Hardy had 4 field goal attempts from 3-point range. So just goes to your case about maybe he becomes that above the break 3 guy for this team. Najee played every minute except for 2 of them at the beginning of the fourth quarter yesterday against the Nuggets. So expect him to have like a 40-minute workload, pretty close to it in my opinion. Yeah, that's about it. Hardy played the whole fourth quarter. PJ Washington played the whole fourth quarter. Brandon Williams played a good chunk of the fourth quarter. And I think maybe the most telling thing about the Klay Thompson stuff is Klay altogether only played like 8 minutes of the second half. He did not close with the team at the end of the game. So they have Caleb Martin there too. He's another guy that can contribute. Yeah, just feels like a lot up in the air. Like you said, this is going to be kind of wait and see. And it gets even more questionable once you realize they don't have or they might not have Gafford. They might not have PJ Washington. That only makes things even more confusing. So, might be the top implied team total, but that's because of the opponent, not because of faith in the offense.
Yep, this is it's all over the place. It's like when the White Sox go to Coors and you have to try to figure out what's going on.
That is a great comparison. That is perfect. Chef's kiss right there. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's move on to the second highest implied team total.
Just a final. Let's put like a cherry on top of this. I did say like we talked about Klay a lot, and I think that that's a valid point. But when push comes to shove, the main takeaway you should make from this is that you should wait for a starting lineup. But if you can't or don't want to or whatever your choice is there, you lean with Najee Marshall PRA and you go from there.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. I like that take quite a bit. All right, let's move on to the second highest implied team total, which belongs to the Boston Celtics. They are at 118.75. They're 2.5 point favorites. Over-unders at 234.5 here. Yeah, C's are playing against Miami. We've consistently seen that teams that go up against this Miami team get a big jump up in implied total just because of the big pace-up spot that you have when you face off against Miami this year. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Celtics?
Yeah, initially really liked the spot from above the break. We know that Miami is a bottom 10 team when it comes to that over the last 30 days. And from there, things get a little bit tougher. They are, in terms of zones, recently giving up a lot of restricted area scoring, so you can point to that as well. This team just has a ton of above the break scorers, and it's all about just looking at sample sizes and figuring out which guy is the right guy for that night. And sometimes you get the variance of that guy's just not going to shoot as many as some of the others if they get hot. So right now it's Derek White that leads the group. He's making just above 3 per game, attempting around 10 per game. Anthony Simons is next, followed by Sam Hauser, Jaylen Brown, and then Pritchard is below all of them. Again, Pritchard hit 2 of his first threes, and then he takes like 6 or 7 on the night, and that could happen. We'll say Anthony Simons has not cooled down necessarily since his recent run, so you just need to keep running that, and you can probably keep running it until it falls off. But in terms of like top overall 3-point scorers, it has been Derek White so far. We'll say this is obviously a nice Neemias Queta spot. He is the best restricted area scorer on this team. Though, the numbers in terms of like PRA or like point scoring in general, again, the 30% of ranges, just because this is going to be a higher implied situation for him with the top pace of play situation we have here today. It's been harder to trust Queta, but he's actually in this brief like 3 to 5 game stint where he's performing really well. So maybe you can go there. But those are my initial takeaways, and I do think that it should also be mentioned always that, again, that whenever you see Boston in these nice 3-point situations, there's a good chance like 3 or 4 guys are going to be heavily involved every time.
Yeah, if you want to rely on historics, you can at least go to this Derek White spot where he had 9 threes against Miami the first game that they played back in December. So, was a really strong game for him. Was one of his best games of the year, if not the best game of the year for him. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, it was his top scoring game. Was the game that he made the most threes in. He made 9 threes against Miami. The second most he made was against the Raptors, where he made 6. So, he had a really good game against Miami last time out. Jaylen Brown almost had a triple-double against this team. He put up 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. So I think certainly going back to the well with him is perfectly fine. I feel a lot more confident in Boston than I do in that Dallas situation at the end of the day.
Right. I even almost feel solid about Utah. We can talk about them soon, too.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, let's move on to this next team.
I wasn't super impressed with the Jaylen Brown spot. His point scoring has kind of fallen off just a little bit, and I don't think that he profiles as well from 3 as most of the other guys on this team. Though obviously he can always put it together. So I do think that this should be mentioned. He's also been rebounding quite well, and this is a nice peripheral spot for a lot of rebounders on this team.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's move on to this next team, which is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers here as they face off against the Hornets at home. They have a 118.5 implied team total. They are 3-point favorites against the Hornets. Over-unders at 234.5. Give me your thoughts. What do you like? What do you not like about the Lakers tonight?
Yeah, crazy work that they're only like 3 or 4-point favorites. That's kind of where my head goes initially. So if we're expecting a full game here for the superstars, you have to really lean into it here. LeBron has scored 24-plus points in 9 of 11 games this year without Austin Reeves on the floor. Luka, obviously always going to have a high point number of 33 to 34 points. I'm not as interested in that today. I think this is more of an assist game for him. He's had 8+ assists and 8 straight without Austin Reeves. So I know that number is more of an alt because you're probably going to get Luka assist numbers around 9 or 10 today. But he has, again, had 8+ and 8 straight without Reeves in this spot. It's also a really nice assist DVP play. The Charlotte Hornets have allowed the 4th most assists to point guards over their last 7 games. But again, I think before all that, this is just a really, really elite scoring spot for Braun here. I do think that it's one where like Charlotte's been pretty middling in most zones, uh, but at the same time, where they are leaking points are above the break as well as the restricted area. And I do think that you got to take a closer look and see what LeBron's doing over the past month. And if we could probably zoom in, I'd say since Christmas, so like the last 2 or 3 weeks. I can do it here momentarily, but at least from the initial data and research over the last 30 days, we know that LeBron ranks fourth in the NBA from the restricted area. He's making over 5 a game from that zone. So I'm going to take any opportunity I can get to talk about LeBron restricted area scoring. I will zoom in on that from Christmas or even like January 1st, and you can give your thoughts on the Lakers here.
Yeah, it feels like it's a relatively good spot. If Vegas is going to expect this one to stay close, then I have a hard time not buying into it. It's not necessarily the greatest pace spot whatsoever. Both of these teams are either mediocre or below average in pace, so not in love with that. But you mentioned it. Hornets struggling from restricted area scoring and above the break three scoring. That screams LeBron. That gives some decent spots to Luka, at least from a 3-point angle. Maybe it's just a better assist angle. But then again, last time I said Luka would get stopped a little bit, he ended up having like 40 points or something ridiculous. So, yeah, I like LeBron. I like Luka. I'm really, really interested in the other side of the ball. I feel like the Hornets probably profile as one of the better spots on the slate overall. So excited to talk about them a little bit later. Yeah, I like the overall spot.
Just for clarity on the restricted area stuff for LeBron, season numbers don't look all that great, but since Christmas, he still ranks fourth. But since January 1st, he ranks third, only behind Zion and Giannis, and you're not going to pass those two guys in a good sample size. So, yeah, LeBron's making like 6 shots a game, taking around 7 from that restricted area, and we're talking about something that probably hasn't happened in like 5 years.
Yeah, definitely more focused on that than he has been with the above the break stuff like he has been in years past. Okay, anything else with the Lakers? If not, do you want to move on? You want to talk about hottest shooters? Where do you want to go?
Um, we'll probably touch on Utah at some point here as we move forward, but yeah, that's a nice spot for them too. Yeah, we can move on to the shooters.
Sweet. Let's go over to hottest shooters, Jared, and highlight some of the guys that have been performing well over the last few games. I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, some of these guys aren't on the slate, but if you've been listening to us all week, we've been talking about the rotating above the break three hierarchy here. As of January 1st, Josh, it is Trey Murphy who leads the league in above the break attempts as well as above the break three makes, 4.3 off 10.5. Second on that list is on the slate. He's in a really good spot, and his name is Norman Powell, who has taken 7.8 above the break threes, making 53% of those shots, so averaging around 4.2 a game. He gets, I would say, behind Clay or maybe even above Clay, the best above the break three scoring spot on the slate.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that. What else do you got? I realize I said I'll let you go first. I don't have any. I didn't do any research today because I'm off today technically. So go ahead, take it away. Mention some more guys. I'll click around on props.cash and see if I can't find one to bring up.
Yeah, obviously LeBron needs to be talked about here. We talked about the points, but I also want to highlight that he's scored 50 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games, which again is something that we just haven't seen this year. From there, like noting that this is not really a Luka hot streak that can really come into the fold at any point. Let's see. Caleb Love deserves love the rest of the way here. Like, I don't know what happens with Denny Avdia moving forward. It looks like I don't think he necessarily gets traded because he just was, but they're gonna start making some Utah type decisions and playing some young guys. And so we've already been talking about Caleb Love for a few weeks. You're gonna hear the name quite a bit more for the rest of the year. He's like now that he's been averaging 27 plus minutes a game, the dude is getting around 15, 4 and 4 a night pretty consistently, and he's going to have games where he goes above 20 points really, really soon, unless we see more work from Drew Holiday or maybe Scoot comes back. But it does feel like they're going to make a decent attempt at getting him going more here as the season comes to. I know it's only halfway through technically, but they're not going to have much to play for soon.
Yeah, for sure. Just want to mention that I don't mind the spot for KD. 8 out of the last 10 games, he's had 25 plus points. You would think like really bad matchup against the Thunder, and technically I think you'd be right. But the one position that they've really struggled with is shooting guard, and it might sound weird, but like Durant's kind of playing that shooting guard role now that they're getting to full health. So you're going to see Jabari at the 4, Şengün at the 5, and probably what Okogie at the 3 most likely is at least what our model has. I think Okogie plays more 3 than 2 technically. But yeah, Kevin Durant has definitely been consistent for sure over the last few games.
There's not many other guys to say on this slate, and I would shout out Cade Cunningham, but Detroit's injuries have been kind of all over the place, and that game is relatively strange. I will at least end the segment by stating that we could just see a feature role for Dylan Brooks, depending on how long the injury to Booker is. Maybe it's only a game or two, maybe it's something more than that, but even regardless, he has still been he has just carried the load. Booker definitely picked up his scoring work the last, I guess like 2 weeks or so, but Dylan Brooks has done the same. He's had 20 plus points in 6 of his last 8. So expect that to only go further north, and you might even see him with a usage rate above 27 or 28% tonight.
Yeah, for sure. We saw him step up early on in the year in those spots where they were missing several guys. I would expect more of the same tonight for Brooks. Okay, you got anything else here? If not, we'll head over to round table.
No, we can move forward.
Let's move forward and head on to round table. If you haven't been here before, here's how it works. Jared and I bring some of our top plays to the table in different statistical categories. Those categories are points, rebounds, and assists. I'll have to scramble to find mine, but Jared, go ahead and talk about yours first.
Yeah, I think where I want to start here is by saying, like, if we touch on Dallas, Utah guys, just note that we're doing it with projected lineups and hoping certain guys are in. I will look to see if I can go a different direction early on. And I do think this is a really, really good spot for both Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins, who both run the point guard position for Milwaukee right now. And I do think that this is way less of a Giannis game, way less of a big man game, and more so any point guard or profiling point guard that can score has been doing really well against San Antonio right now. They've allowed the second most points on the year, as well as the last 7 games, to the point guard position. So I do like KPJ and Rollins, and to just be as transparent as possible. I definitely I prefer Porter right now, even though the scoring has been a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, for sure. I will go over to this Lakers game. I mentioned talking about Charlotte. Feels like a good opportunity to do it. We've mentioned it. Small forwards have been really good against the Lakers. The Lakers are allowing the most points to the small forward position. Whether you look over the last 7 games or you look over the whole season, the Lakers have done a really good job of stopping above the break threes to almost every other position except for small forward. And I think that really brings to light this Brandon Miller spot, because you need his 3-point scoring for him to do well. I think he is able to do it with how this Lakers defense is operating. I think he does have a little bit of drive capability to get in the paint as well, but I think small forwards are kind of like plug and plays for me against this Lakers team until I see that defense change drastically.
Yep. I also want to add there that I think, and I put this in today's rundown, that sometimes the DVP is a little bit off with how, different and just like hybrid players are and lineups are these days. Would say Brandon Miller is like one of the true like in terms of like what the type of play is, he is like the true small forward that you can
Yeah,
trust in the spot.
for sure. All right. Where do you want to go for rebounds, Jared?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go, and just I think we're gonna be fine either way with this, but I think that you have to look at this and you just go right back to the well with Kyle Filipowski for Utah, with no market in. I think you're just gonna see a spot where they're gonna rely on him to play like 30 plus minutes in this spot, and we saw 30 last night. He finished with 7 boards. He has the ability to get double-digit boards. And here's to hoping that maybe Nurk is just another healthy scratch and he's not going to play.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that. I'm going over to this Knicks team and putting Cat here as my rebounds play. I think it's really bare bones and simple here. It's just that Golden State has struggled with rebounding for the center position all year long. We talked about it last show that we talked about the Knicks with, because we talked about how Portland was going to be able to get rebounds on them. We saw Robert Williams do really well in that spot. Ended up getting 8 rebounds with his line at 5.5. I think Cat is going to be tasked with being more involved everywhere today with no Jalen Brunson, whether that be shooting or rebounding. And yeah, I really like the Cat spot here against a Golden State team that has not shown the ability to rebound.
Shout out to whoever is going to start at center today for Houston. It's likely going to be Şengün, but his rebound spot's really awesome. Also, Jabari Smith, I want to throw his name in the ring too. I wanted to find this trend, so give me a moment here. I liked this a lot, and then the line got bumped up, so I wanted to just put it out there. I think it's 7.5 now, but Jabari Smith has recorded 7 rebounds or more in 7 straight games without Tari Eason, and that I think is a really powerful trend where sometimes trends kind of fall flat.
Yep, could certainly get behind that. All right, where do you want to go for a sister?
Yeah, I think now we kind of this one is a trend that has fallen flat and has not really shown any signs of life, and I think you're probably gonna hopefully see that at least have a chance today. We know that Davion Mitchell's out for Miami, and we know that Tyler Hero hasn't had more than 5 assists in a game all season. And I think this is the best chance he's going to have to get there, as the
Yeah.
Celtics have allowed the most assists to the point guard position on the year, as well as their last 7 games. And it just feels like one of those spots where like there's going to be a lot of threes made by both sides, specifically Powell. I think Hero can get on the action too. But I think that it makes a lot of sense to go here. And I don't know if you can trust Norm from this take, and I don't think you can trust any other point guard that's going to play for Miami tonight from this take either.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going with the easy answer here. I've been going with a lot of easy answers, but going Luca. I think the assists have been
Yep.
super consistent over this last little stretch of games. Charlotte's been allowing a bunch of assists to the point guard position. He's had 8+ assists in 7 straight games. He's also had double-digit assists in 4 out of those 8 games. It's Luca. There's not much not to love here. I think that it does help that this team is struggling with restricted area scoring, but doing a little bit better in the paint outside of the restricted area, because that's where Luca kind of gets his points. Maybe he's able to pass out a little bit more, get those assists. But yeah, Luca would be my assist play. All right, Jared, you got anything else you want to mention here before we move on to two minds are better than one?
Uh, I mean, we kind of skipped over a little bit of the juicy Utah Dallas game. That's mainly due to like we don't really 100% know who's playing, who's even playing, and then where they're playing. So that's the issue. But I do think once we get some additional clarity, maybe we get a couple guys ruled in, you can make those decisions, as there are some good spots here. Like I think that's you could argue that you could play. I don't think they'll have Nemhard stuff up for Dallas right now. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the point guard scoring spot's extremely good, and then you have a lot of good assist opportunities for guys like PJ Washington, Najee Marshall as well.
For sure. All right, let's head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting 2 player props each. We end up putting those into a parlay. Our goal for the parlay is to get to around plus 100 to plus 150 in the odds. You can play it on Sportsbook. You can play it wherever you want. We play it on DraftKings Sportsbook, just to keep that clear. But Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
We're gonna go with KD. I like what you said earlier about it. I looked into it as well, obviously, because I'm on and you're not, and I saw that he had posted at least 29 plus points and assists in 10 straight games, and that's actually the last
Ooh.
18 of 20. So he's doing it from an assist angle. He's scoring religiously, and a lot of that market is just because he has been an absolute wagon for 25 points. So we don't have to go there necessarily, but I do think Durant 20 to 25 points against his old team sounds pretty good. And it is, like you said, it's like one of the only ways Houston can win this game is if
Yeah.
KD goes off.
Yeah, let's go KD for 20 plus. I think that's really solid. Um, we talked about LeBron a bunch. I feel like it'd be hard not to go back to this spot. Let's go with LeBron for 18 plus points.
Alrighty. What's the chance they have Dallas stuff up?
Ooh,
Looking
that's
at
a good.
we're just looking at Marshall right now, I think.
There is Marshall stuff up.
He's smashed 30 PRA back-to-back games. I don't think we need to take that, but 25 seems like a good spot.
25 is perfect. Let's go with 25 there. And for the last play, we'll do something easy because we're already at plus 115. What did I want to go? Oh, I wanted to go Derek White threes. I like this spot a lot. I think he has been or he had that really good performance against Miami earlier in the year. And like you said, he has been their main guy from that range. So let's go Derek White for 2+ threes. So altogether, we have Kevin Durant for 20 plus points, LeBron for 18 plus points, Najee for 25 PRA, and then Derek White for 2+ 3-pointers made. Altogether, get you at plus 147. All right, Jared, let's get out of here. Give your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think the slate's all right as a whole. We have the big hammer game, as pretty much any game that Utah is involved in is definitely there. We should also mention, I don't know if we did mention it, but the pace of play in that game is easily the best on the card as well. So you're going to see a lot of action towards that, and I think it's one that you can believe in. It's just like we mentioned earlier, like this does scream like a game total of 11.5, where the Rockies and the White Sox are playing each other, and both pitchers suck, and you kind of just have to play it and you go with it. So that's how we're approaching it today. Keep an eye on the injury news, specifically around PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. We do not expect Cooper Flagler or Max Christie to play, so we're going to get a different lineup tonight. It's not going to look great. It's probably going to feel pretty gross, but I think both sides are rather gross in that situation, but you're just playing it anyway. Again, no Jalen Brunson. We do expect, and no Denny Avdia. So that's interesting there. No Devin Booker. We didn't talk much about the Phoenix-Detroit game outside of Dylan Brooks, really, and I think that's okay. I think that one's just kind of a gross game. Both of them play pretty good defense, and I'd like to see what's going on with the Suns before we start blindingly playing them without Booker.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have any housekeeping notes or anything? If not, we'll get out of here, man.
No, just obviously we're here because the NFL product is slowing down. We are not podcasting for the divisional round, though all content will still be posted as normal. I'll be back on Friday as well to handle final content for the smaller Friday NBA card, and we do it all over again. What were we like, within a month here of the All-Star break? Just start to expect things to really. We kind of already have seen it this week. It's basically been the story, but you can feel it when you're doing the research process of fluid situations that we've been able to trust the last 2 months start to get a little bit crazy, and variance kicks in when lots of injuries happen or teams intentionally DNP players, or the trade stuff starts to hit the fans. So just note that that's to be expected every time this year, and we're going to get some volatility, but we're going to always put you guys in the right spots as best as we can.
Yeah, I'll just say that, I know the last little stretch has definitely been rough this week. I know we had some spots that shined, but mostly we came up short in a few different areas. NBA season is about ebbs and flows, man. If there's one thing I've learned from being in this industry since 2017, it's that it's a lot of ups and downs, and the ups are usually better than the downs. You just sometimes got to suffer those down moments, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So hopefully Jared is able to turn it around tonight. Yeah, nothing else. I don't know if you saw I like that we do these little brief sports talks after the shows, and people get to hear it. I don't know if you saw no Fred Warner this week. I don't know if you've been tracking his progress, but he's been so close to coming back. They opened up the practice window. He was doing drills yesterday. He looked really good, and Shanahan came out and said no Fred Warner. So I'm very disappointed. I'm big time sad. I just saw it happen on my phone, as we were closing things out.
Yeah, that was be something you would have needed, especially in the Seattle's just going to try to run the ball to death, and they might have success doing it.
But Sam Darnold is questionable with an oblique injury, and while I think he plays through it most likely, I still think it's a big deal, right? If your QB's dealing with an injury, I think no matter what, it tends to be a big deal.
Well, it'll be up to whether or not they can get the run game going. They've been able to do it, but we'll see. I thought the same thing was going to happen last week, so I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, not expecting a lot from my Niners, but hoping and praying, and that's...
You didn't expect anything last week, and you should continue to do that.
Exactly. As Dave Lombardi, the beat reporter for the Niners, said, there's going to be two teams at the end of the year that say that they were able to maximize their season. It's whoever wins the Super Bowl, and it's the 49ers, because there's no way you can say the Niners haven't absolutely maxed out what they've been able to do this year. All right. Anything else, Jared? Always fun to talk sports for a little bit after the show, but anything else? If not, we'll get out of here.
Nope. Again, I don't think we're really waiting for any breaking news outside of the Utah Dallas game. So just use the podcast, run it back, and if that news comes out, we'll obviously break it into Discord and see where we can go from there.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get out of here. Thank y'all for listening. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer, and we will see y'all next week.